Hello and welcome to Software Inc. Today we're going to be doing a playthrough of Software Inc. with the electronics mod for Alpha 11. We're going to be playing the company ACME Electronics Inc., specifically the player Eric Ryan. I have already set up all of the setup. Just to go through it really quickly, we're naive and stubborn because I really like hard worker. I prefer independent and I prefer stressed, but we all can't have nice things all the time. For specialization, we're going to have 3 into support because that's most likely to be useful. This is what I set up for leader, and this is what I have for development, just because through some of my early testing, 3D is going to be useful for making hardware. Alright, let's get started. So as you can see, I have a number of buildings possible for rent. Let's just go for Garage Inc. to get started. And while it's loading, I want to talk about, with this electronics mod, the possibilities that we have. So on top of the regular software that's in the game, as you might be able to tell from the title, this mod removes the hardware system that was introduced in Alpha 11, and instead it creates many different new categories. The game treats them just like it does software, except they're hardware parts and they interact with each other, and more come along later, just as, for example, 3D editors become available later in the game. We're gonna get graphics cards available later in the game. I have gone through all of these electronics, all of the hardware. I have decided to just go with computers as my main starting starting product. However, as we grow and get more successful, I'm going to want to start to develop everything, if I can, based off of what's interesting. This game, I have found, it's hard to be truly dominant in any field. Such if you're making OSs, it's hard to become basically the only OS on the market, even if you buy out every other OS company somehow. Eventually another one would form and they would be just as successful as you, which again makes sense logically, but it also shows why I want to develop something out of all of these. It's not just going to be me making all of the hardware. I like to roleplay in my games, and thinking of myself as ACME Electronics Incorporated, I like to think that when somebody building a computer or ordering a computer looks at what's available, they're going to always see the option of ACME Electronics. I'm not going to have a monopoly and control it, but I think it's going to be fun for us to develop our own part of everything. Alright, let's get started. I'm just going to set up a basic office right here. I have played this game quite a bit. In general, I think it's best to set up... I have a lot of ways that I like to do things. In terms of offices, I'm not good at building things and planning things right off the bat, so if that's annoying to watch, I'm sorry. But we're just going to get started with these desks. They cost more, yes, but they improve the environment rating of the room, which is nice. I always go for the ergonomic chair. Yes, it's unbelievably expensive, but it one nice thing about it is that it is the only one that has a positive effect on ergonomics, and I don't want to have to worry about that. That's not true. Yoga balls do too, but it turns out people don't like it when 8 people around them are always bouncing on yoga balls, so I've stopped using those. In terms of company colors, I'm not sure what to do yet. Just for this office to look nice right now, and maybe we'll continue it on a whim, I'm going to go with this lime green kind of coloring. Let's see if I can find something that matches it more. Green. Yeah, that looks fine. And then for frame, we can keep black. Does that look good? It's not perfect, but I think it's more realistic that way. You're not going to find a chair that magically matches your wallpaper in your parents' house. Let's just get a starting computer right off the bat. I'll mess with the colors later, but starting off, I like to think that our 20-year-old, probably college dropout, is just getting a computer off the market. He's not having anything specially made for him. Um, and in this game, developing hardware is treated just as coding. So right off the bat, I'm going to go with Inbox because from what I can tell, it does exactly the same amount of benefit to design as a drawing tablet does, while costing significantly less, especially if you factor in the electricity cost. So we're going to just have an Inbox for the moment. I have found one item to be incredibly overpowered in this game, and that item is the VP desk file rack. I don't know why it's so good for how much it costs and the space it takes up, but it basically takes care of your environment needs and all of your other furniture needs in every office that you put it in. The only thing it doesn't get you up to is the 25% skill boost, and just one bookshelf will almost always get that for you unless it's a really massive room. So let's just put one bookshelf in the corner. All right, cool. And now, just because it's going to be easy to, I know it seems like I'm spending a lot of money up front, but productive workers are really what matters early in the game. Later in the game, it's a lot of micromanaging. I think that's the most beneficial, but early on in the game, you're looking to get the most out of all of your employees. So, acoustic foam I found, which comes in the recent update, is it's incredibly good at increasing the environment of the room without taking up any space. It's also kind of boring. I'm going to put this for when I have employees in the future, and I'm going to put this for when I have employees in the future. It's not the best thing to do, but, you know, it won't kill me, and I kind of like it. For the environment of the room, sorry, I got a little distracted there. Let's just put a potted plant in the corner, or next to the chair. That's nice. I am not going to treat this series as a tutorial, for the most part, for somebody that has never seen this game before, just because this is already playing with a mod, and so it would probably be a little bit too much to treat it as such. We can see that our room is now at 200% environment, and acoustics are really high as well. That's going to be fine for the moment. I could turn another desk, and I'm probably going to need another employee for marketing and support and such later. Can I rent this out? I can rent that out. We'll figure that out when we get to it. So for the moment, we are just going to, what do you call it? Make a coffee maker to improve my employees. Espresso machines are incredibly loud, so are these. Instant coffee isn't great, but I'm just gonna go for it. It gets the job done. All right, and I assume we have security, like fire prevention and stuff. It doesn't look like we do. So I'm just gonna put a fire alarm in here, because my parents that I'm renting the garage from don't seem to care about my health or safety, which personally isn't how I would parent. But I guess it's not up to me to make decisions. Alright, so generally what I do at this point too, which is kind of boring, is I go through and make a million different teams and micromanage them just so I don't have to later on. I'm going to do that off camera after episode 1 and then show it to you when we come back, because that's not fun to watch. I'm just going to get started. I will change employee benefits right now, and we can keep going with this lime green kind of color scheme. I do find having a color scheme in this game is rather important. I like that. It's not exactly the same, but some variants will make it look better. And then we're going to reset everything company-wide, just because. Small gripe, but I do think they should have a check all button. And then we're going to pay extra for night shift. I never employ anybody for the night shift early on in game, so I always set this up just because there's no reason not to. I don't know if this is how it works, but I'm assuming that having this benefit makes it seem better to my employees, and maybe to prospective candidates. I don't know if it does, but there's no reason not to. Company car, not this early on, I'm broke. Christmas bonus, sure, I'll do 25%. I like to be generous with my benefits, I should say off the bat, because it allows me to, it keeps my employees happy. Yes, it costs a lot more, but I have a problem with how I manage these kinds of games where I tend to have wildly too much or too little money. And having high employee benefits, I think, is a really good investment. Also, I just think it's the right thing to do. Sue me for being a hippie. Not that my company is going to be great by any means to its employees, but I don't know. I like it. Severance pay, we're not going to have severance pay, nor pension, for the reason that I'm probably going to fire lots of my early on employees. Not sure about that, but it can happen often. Minimum wage, I always put this really high because they're all going to get minimum wages anyways, and having a really high minimum wage is really nice for them. I like to gamble and have lots of health insurance as well. And when you look at this, you can see that, wow, you get really high, you get lots of life insurance, health insurance, and a really high minimum wage every year, on top of really high night shift pay and a Christmas bonus. In terms of a random startup, if you don't have any experience, an applicant would like that, and employees do generally have positive opinions in this game. Yes, I have a weird mix of role-playing and min-maxing. Do not judge me. Why? Because you'll hurt my feelings. Okay, looking at my character, I've already mentioned it early on. There's other strategies that I like to play around with. For example, one that I believe the Spiffing Brit showed and then still kind of works, even though they patched it a little bit, is if you just specialize into law and then you build the biggest OS you can find with publisher money, then they'll give you all the money and then you can cancel it and then win the lawsuit and just start off with free money. After the video, they nerfed it a little bit, but you can still do it for an easy like $200,000 at the start of the game. That's an option. I also, it does seem weird to me that the leader of the company has no leader experience early on, but those are just small gripes. I do think generally it's best just to have an incredibly good designer and programmer, because you can always take and finish contract work if you need balance, and it's the best for just getting your first product out. That said, I do want my character to gain experience in other fields, so we're going to go to change roles. We're going to keep them as a designer and a programmer. We're going to set them as the leader. It wastes a little bit of time, but I like the skill gain that you get from it. And then we're going to secondary these two roles at the moment, just because there isn't any negative from it, because I'm not going to have anybody that specialized in it in the early game. And that's closed. And let's get started on our computer. So at the start, you can see there's only the default computer, and it has to be mini, and it has to be gaming, and overclocked if you want. 100% expected interest. I am sorry, that's unprofessional of me. Microphone surveillance. I really like the addition of all of these like illegal things. Like there's on some of the OSs, there's like Bitcoin mining, so you can get it, and then there's a chance of being reported. Generally, lawsuits are really easy to win in this game, and so it's pretty fun. I'm not going to do this for the first computer. I think it's really funny and fun to do. That said, I'm not going to do it starting off right off the bat for the first computer, just because I want that kind of narrative. You know what I mean? Doesn't seem to me like something a rational company would do. I do think having an SCM is very valuable in terms of reducing bugs. And for your first game, there is very little reason not to just say, have this here, have this over here. Just put a little cubicle wall to try to reduce noise that this causes here and here. Change the colors because that looks god ugly to a lighter cream. That looks good. Let's save that just in case we keep going with this color scheme. And add just one server. For an early on thing, you're not going to need any more than one server. I like to change colors in case you can't tell. That's too light. Yeah, that works. That makes literally no difference, but it's fine. And then we're going to go to servers and rename this to computer SCM. I'm sorry if you can hear my keyboard, by the way. I do not have anywhere close to what some might call money for a new computer, for a new keyboard, or computer for that matter. And then, reopening this window, we're going to set the computer SCM to the computer SCM. We are kind of quirky like that. For the price, I haven't really played around with suggested prices. I think I'm going to go a little bit more in depth because it gives me stuff to talk about in a YouTube series. and because it's going to be fun, on checking competition in this game. It kind of makes it feel less like you're just sandboxing and gaining money on your own. We can change the price when it comes out, but for the moment, let's look at all software and sort by the type of software. In this case, computer, like hardware, is going to be counted as software just because of how the mod works. And we're going to go through and look for computer. Where are you? I can't help but notice I missed it. Where? Huh, wait. So there are no computers on the market that I see. It would be around here, right? See? Yeah, it doesn't look like there are. Well then, I mean, I could way overcharge it if there aren't any alternatives. For the moment, I don't know. I might be missing something. Let's just set it to an $1,000 computer. Is that crazy? In some ways, yes. In other ways, this costs $1,500 and this is a computer, so in the Lord of the World, it kind of makes sense. And if this is just way too much and it's not selling, we can lower it upon release. What's that? Oh yeah, original IP. What is our company name is ACME Electronics, which kind of doesn't give any kind of naming convention to go for. We can go through these like generated random names. None of them are really standing out to me. I kind of like Desire Pro. What if we I like Dire. It has that kind of heavy gamer marketing, like high testosterone marketing kind of vibe that you get looking at modern gaming computers. What about like Direbox? Is that a stupid name? Yes. But this is like 1980. I think stupid computer names make sense. Alright, this is a question, whether to do a framework. Frameworks, I think, generally are very good. So let's call this to go with the Acme theme a little bit. And also because I think it's makes sense in the lore of the world that, like, frameworks for hardware manufacturing, if you have this massive electronics company that makes everything, they would have their frameworks everywhere. And it would be like a standardized kind of thing. So what about, like, Acme... Is Acme Computer boring? API doesn't make sense because it's not software. Here, let me just look at random names that they come up with. Platform, that's works. Acme Computer Platform. It doesn't have to be the most interesting name in the world. Alright. And then I'll do these tools last. For auto balancing, I don't believe this mod has put in any of this stuff, so it's just always gonna be the third. So that's the auto balancing. The market, not the market, but just the features that the only features that we have available to us make it need to be a very well designed and somewhat speedy computer. Not at all functional. The only thing that gives us a little bit of functionality is it being them both being pro gamer software code. I mean, words are hard, okay? So this looks good to me. Again, I'm going to go through my teams and update all of that. So let's look at the tools that we're going to use. Generally, I'm just going to go by the most recent tech level. So these 5 are all the most recent tech level here through here. The most active users is this one. And then what's the most recently released? These 2 are more recently released. I don't know. I should check this, if your potential users are limited by active users of these. So the consumer reach is 7.2 million. And then say I set this to like the oldest things that nobody uses. It doesn't look like it's changing. It just decreases the tech level here because they're older. Yeah, it does not seem to affect that. Alright. So then we should just go for the most recent tech level, then it makes sense, and the lowest license cost. I do only have $16,000 left. The most users is this. The most recent tech level is 75. I know I already looked at this. And then license cost. This is the cheapest, the most users. Let's go over the infel. Nice. Like these non-branded names. Wait, that's an actual name. That's not good. Okay, I like also that both of these Infel and big air quote chips are made by different companies. Um, let's just go with iHooks Infel 7100. For the motherboard, most recent tech level, there's only one that has come out that's anywhere close to recent, and it has all the users. Hopefully it's not too expensive compared to the others. Nope. So we're going for the PSI. Okay. For this one, most recent tech level, and then most recent release. They're all great. Let's go for the Rusial, the upgrade to what we had before. Cool. And then power supply, same thing, going by tech level, only one is recent. Then let's go for that. For the CPU cooling. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do about this. In this case, because none of them have tech levels, we could just go by the most recent release, or it seems to make more sense to me to do the lowest license cost. 108, because it came out. Wait, that one came out somewhat recently, and this one is cheaper. Sorry, I'm tired, and apparently the game or me is blind. So we're going for this one. For storage, we want one of these two. That one is great quality and cheaper to license. I've noticing that there's a lot of iHook, so they might be a competitor for me in this electronic field. For the case, we're gonna go for the only one that's like that, and there we are. And now, because they're all recent, we can increase the tech level to 1975. All right. I wonder how much longer would it take. It wouldn't apparently take any longer to put this in, but again, for the same reasoning, I'm just not going to. So let's start. I don't like the name Direbox now that I'm looking at it again. How about Polybox? I like that. It's very like generalistic, which is kind of what we're going for in this like big electronics company that makes everything. All right, and we're gonna want to skip to that. Let's develop the Polybox. Cool. I'm 23 minutes in, and I haven't even unpaused. If you're watching the Crusader Kings 3 series, you know that's somewhat par for the course with me. So let's get this game rolling. I go on 3-speed almost all the time. And we can see we have our little friend here, Eric Ryan, coding at work, actually designing at work. I felt so smart when I realized that when they design it was little letters, and when they code it's numbers, and when they do art it's triangles. And I know that's the stupidest thing to feel smart for in the world, but I did. I should check while it's running upcoming releases. Ooh, wait, what's this? I've not seen this before. Huh. I haven't seen this before. Did they change this? That's really cool. That's really, really cool. Wow. I have to say the developers of this game are great. I am planning on releasing this in 1982, but it doesn't look like any computers are ever going to come out. So this might be the biggest cash grab ever. I feel like I've made a mistake by doing this. All right, and we're almost done with iteration number 3. Which is ironic because little letters are... Okay, I'm going to stop. And this is the last iteration 4, and once it gets all the way, we're going to move on to coding. Now, I am not sure what to do. This is a small room. I'm not sure what to do about marketing. Part of me thinks that because there's no other computers coming out, I could just have a lame, tiny, like, release, and then just off of profits hire more and more marketers in a new building, and just ramp it up and ramp it up. Kind of seems I'm wasting a little bit of profit there and opportunity cost over time. I could also lease this room and just hire like one marketer. I think that's what I'm gonna do, and then when it releases, we're gonna make a lot of money off it because we're gonna make this outstanding, and this is gonna be the only computer on the market. So we're gonna build our headquarters there. One thing I will say, I understand that the change makes sense, but I do not like how like you have more talented people and cheaper utilities, and we're going to develop this in the city now, as opposed to in rural environments when you build your own headquarters, because in the past that wasn't implemented, or at least I didn't know that it was implemented. And the things I care about happen in the city, like a better talent pool and cheaper utilities, and then the benefits of being out in the middle of nowhere don't matter to me, like land cost. That's an upfront thing instead of like utilities cost, which is ongoing. So I like building in the middle of nowhere and building my own campus, but it's never the best. You might be worried that we're heading for bankruptcy. However, my main guy, Eric Ryan, is skilled enough that he can finish any contract work no problem. So I'm just going to wait down till the month after this one, until October. I know what order the month's going. And then we're just going to take some contract work for a little bit to stay afloat. I want to check how loud is it in here. Wait, this room is ugly now? Oh, probably because of this server. And that's a low state, but we should fix this ugliness just for productivity reasons. I know I said I don't like it, and I still don't like it, but we're just going to place some acoustic foam because it's an easy way to beautify a room. We're going to click on the room to keep an eye on the level, and then we're just going to place this down here. That looks bad. I'm going to change this to the silver one. So it's not obtrusive and it fits in with this gray and white color scheme we have. It's more of a slight cream, I would say, but potato. Alright, ignore me struggling with the controls. And this is more expensive than it should be. Do I need this? I just wasted money. That was a weird noise that came out of my mouth, and I'm sorry that you had to hear that sound of indecision and possible pain. We're just going to place it here. And then, because we're suddenly super low, I'm going to take contract work. So I'm going to sort by income, because at this point they're all going to be expected quality bad when we look for the worst expected quality ever. SCM, we're also going to do this, because I doubt we're using that much of the servers up. Let me check. Yeah, only 2.9%. So we're just going to take work on here to reduce bugs and hopefully get more reputation from when we release it over time. That's a really low money count. Our code completion on this is getting pretty high. We still have to do art, but I'm going to start marketing when I promote. I know the game kind of implies that you should start marketing earlier, like when you first go into alpha, and that might be true, especially when you have better marketers and you have to take a long time to develop a video reel when it comes out. But that's for our interest right now. We're going to be fine with just starting marketing later on. Again, we're not going to have a massive release. We're just going to have a small one. I have set my person to do art. That might be a bad idea because he's not good at art. And we could hire another person in here. The reason why I need a separate room for marketing is because they're going to be in a separate team. Technically that doesn't need to happen, but it's makes sense continuity wise. I am going to hire second person, I've decided. So I'm just gonna do a modern desk because I don't need the environment boost from a fancy one that costs twice as much. A computer, which is gonna hurt my bank account. A fancy chair, which is gonna hurt my bank account even more. and an art tablet. And so I'm not wasting all this money. I'm going to remember to turn off secondary coding for him. I mean, arting, drawing for him. And we're going to hire an artist. This is probably going to be the biggest expense. I mean, obviously. It's system art, is it not? It is. And then we're going to go for that. We're going to sort by compatibility. It's always best to have somebody that's compatible. I think that's probably more important than other factors. We're going to hire Bo Maxwell. I know, it's not going to be great. And then I'm going to set them to art. You can see they have a little bit of design potential. It's more fun, or nicer at least, to not fire people. In case he gets better, I'm going to put on secondary for design for later on. And is he good at any support things? He actually is. So we're going to put on secondary service. And we're going to set my person to sit here. It's fine because of the tasks they're set for. If I select the room, if I select the room and then auto chair, it'll work out fine because of that. And the inbox here. Oh shoot, I messed up. I should have replaced this with calculator when he started coding, when he got out of the stage. I'm just gonna get this quickly to the point where I don't like him working on it after it's finished. That's gonna decrease quality. He's done? Okay, cool. And then we're gonna take contract work so we don't go broke. This one doesn't take any artists, which is what I'm looking for. And have him start working on this, and next month the artist can come in and finish up Polybox's art. And then we can get to our bug fixing. Alright. And they had a little meeting there because my dude is good at life. And you can see art is making progress there. I'm just going to take another one. It is good having some cash in the bank when you release something before you have printing up and going, so you can order copies right off the bat. And art is almost finished. One more week, and I'm going to call cleaning so it doesn't suck to work here. Oh, I'm paused. And so close and yet so far. Okay, let's call maintenance. And we're finished. Cool. So now we're going to promote this, and now all we have to do is bug fixes, market, and release Polybox, which is going to be our very first product. And I think it's going to be outstanding. Literally. Alright, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon for episode 2 of Software Inc. Hardware. Or, I'm not sure what I'm going to call this year's ACME Electronics.